जिद है जिद रहेगी.
Hello, welcome to this episode of Dreamers to Doers. Today we have with us an experienced professional in commercial real estate. Welcome Madhur, and we are very happy to have you with us this afternoon. How does it feel to be with us at Dreamers and Doers?
Firstly, this is a lovely experience to be invited by Seagull, especially at this journey at the philosophy where Seagull is, trying to show what is Dreamers to Doers. So lovely to be here, excited to, have this conversation with you, Samir.
Thanks.
And yes, let's see how the afternoon goes.
Lovely. So Madhur, you're a young entrepreneur. Real estate is big business. Yeah. So before we come to this particular project and come to commercial real estate, can you tell us something about yourself and how did you get into real estate?
So our company, F5 Realtors, is a family business. We have been in the industry for more than 15 years or so now. And it is my chachu, my father, my bade papa who has been involved very closely in this journey. So it was a natural, step to me to get into this. Okay. And growing up, I have seen them, involve themselves in projects and, hear tidbits about their journey. So it always intrigued me to join this sector, and that is how I stepped in, and here I am.
So I understand, when we were having a conversation that the family is also into distribution of our pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you still chosen to come into real estate.
Yeah. So one thing about pharmaceuticals and real estate, they are both completely different sectors.
Correct.
Real estate is still a little unregularized in India, and it's still a very difficult ball game to play. The reason I entered real estate was particularly what invited me was the strategy and the marketing and the sales required behind it, compared to distribution where logistics is the key. So I wanted to explore and understand how the industry, how a project is taken up, how a building or a flat is made, and how is it delivered to the customer, because it's a journey. For us, it's building a product. Correct. For the customer, we are building not just a home but also a house.
Correct.
So I feel when a person is putting his hard-earned money, his life savings, so can I build something which will provide value and he'll nurture that for years to come. Excellent. So that is a deep insight I had, and that is why I wanted to come, because I want to connect with the people at hand.
So if you don't mind me saying this, Madhur, many people enter real estate for the money. So you're saying there's more than money in your purpose of being in real estate?
I think so.
Okay.
See, money is important, there's no denying that.
Okay.
But I feel for me, versus let's say a B2B business in a pharmacy, there is a gap versus a B2C business where I'm directly interacting with the customer. For me, it was empowering to see that, I'm able to deliver something to, a citizen of Pune where he envisions his dream come true. So that closely resonated with me.
So what I'm understanding is what excites you about real estate as against the pharmaceutical business, the family business, is that here you can engage directly with customers.
Yeah.
And you can give joy directly to them. So that's very important for somebody who's in the real estate sector.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Now let's speak specifically of this project, Capital at Hadapsar. If I'm correct, this is not a ground zero project that you took up. Yeah, it is, if I can use a term called a stress project, which somebody else was running, and that you took it over.
True.
So what was the thinking at that time to take a project like this as against a greenfield project which you can do on a empty plot of land?
So there are multiple reasons why we took this project up. First, we realized that there was a dearth of organized mixed retail usage space, especially in the Hadapsar market.
Okay.
So we have worked in East Pune very closely in terms of residential and commercial. But this project, given its location and given the value which we could build, that was the first reason why we took this project. Second, this is a landmark project for us. This is our largest commercial and retail project which we have taken up. So this was a mark which we want to create in the landscape of Pune. So, and the third was we have never completely ventured out into the retail and the showroom space.
Correct.
So unless and until we take that jump, we understand the market in East Pune and we take that jump, we'll never be able to realize the value which we can build and expand our organization in the commercial retail space. So we took this project up, and yes, it was a stress point. Given it started back in 2013 and then it got shut down due to unforeseen circumstances. but we are happy that we took this up and we are here, at the completion of the project.
Fantastic.
So yeah, that's
So Madhur, what you mentioned was that the motivation, though it was a challenging project, it was stalled for some time and the F5 group took it over. The motivation that it was landmark, right?
True.
It's large.
True.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is mixed use, retail plus commercial.
plus offices.
Plus offices. It's a complete kind of a plethora of things you have to sell. So different kinds of customers you have to sell it to. And one thing that I must point out is that the way you all designed it, is also very, very interesting. It's very iconic. The project definitely looks like a landmark in Hadapsar. So tell me something. What happened behind the thinking for the design?
So what had happened is, when we took this project up, 3 slabs of the project were already done.
Okay.
So we had an option to either, to scrap the entire project and redo it from the start,
Okay.
or, take this up at the start where 3 slabs were already completed. So when we sat with the architect, we realized that it may not be necessary to change, the design or the layout of the building. We can still provide and we can still, scale the project up, given our bandwidth and the time scales. So that's how the design thinking came into picture. And then we had an architect who gave us a very good elevation design.
Okay.
So what happened was when we visualized the project at first, we could then connect and understand, okay, this is where we are going to be. And when we looked at the design, we looked at the elevation, we looked at the plan, because it was built on an old concept.
Correct.
But the market at that time, demanded that kind of space, and we were happy with that.
Okay.
So I think our engineers, our contractors, our design team, our architect really put in a lot of effort to give us a product where we could really give what the customers want.
So what you're saying is that the project was designed in 2013
yes.
originally.
Yeah.
You sold it really in 2024-25.
25.
Correct?
True.
And that old design with a lot of emphasis on elevation. You mentioned the architect, the elevation to make it attractive. And I've seen the project, and it's extremely beautiful. So just want to ask you one thing. And especially because in Pune, you've had this unified development code that has come up. A lot of FSI has been made available. So when you want to make a beautiful project, do you have to compromise on FSI?
That's an interesting question. So at the capital, we have not consumed, the FSI completely.
Correct, yeah.
Sometimes you have to forego the FSI, because you have to understand, where are you located in Pune? You have to understand, which region, which road, which area you are operating. Second, what class of product or what kind of product are you building? So if, a product can be built without consuming the full FSI, or without taking the burden of additional financial stress, then one can go up and take a look up at that commercial project and take that up. So it's not necessary always, but three key things which stand out for me is, one is strategic location. It has to be somewhere accessible to the customer, especially in terms of a retail space.
Correct.
Second, I would say connectivity. And third, and this is probably surprising for me also, and I realized parking.
Parking, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you got plenty of parking?
Yeah. So we realized offices, parking is such a delicate topic when customer ko kitna bhi do wo bolega nahi aur chahiye. So I think these 3 key things were there when we took up, we are taking up commercial projects or while building any retail or commercial project as such, because people want to come. We saw Hadapsar is a growing market, high density population, aspirational, public, high income, earning given the vicinity of Magarpatta, IT Park, or SP InfoCity. So people have changed, their buying behavior, where they are not just going to the local shop, but they want to upgrade.
Okay.
So that's how, can envision.
So aesthetics is obvious. Once one sees your project, you've got the aesthetics right. But what was the revelation was the emphasis on parking. So tell me, given a choice, would you have more office space and less parking?
So I can have that depending upon the kind of client I have.
Okay.
So let's say I have a large IT company or a large, firm which wants to establish, their office.
Okay.
So when I sit down with someone and I see their requirement, then I can customize my units accordingly.
Okay.
So I may, forgo some parking in terms of giving them more additional, carpet area.
Okay.
So that is where I think we need to analyze the market and the customer very closely. Given the capital, since it's a highly mixed use space and may not cater to,
High-end,
large,
yeah.
high-end, IT companies or MNC firms, we were at the right spot because we could provide high number of parking.
Okay.
But given if your clientele is right, I think it's right you can forgo some parking because that will save you a lot of time, money and stress.
Yeah.
So then you can, focus on building, your space in general.
So Madhur, when you started off, obviously signing off a project is a lot of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
What are the early setbacks? What are the early challenges?
So as we talked about it earlier, the first and the most critical segment, setback, which we faced was the skepticism regarding the project. Given Pune is now operating in a micro market, every micro market operates and behaves differently. People in the vicinity, in the locality were highly doubtful कि ये project का क्या होगा.
अच्छा, करेंगे कि नहीं करेंगे?
करेंगे कि नहीं करेंगे, building
होगा कि नहीं होगा?
कि नहीं होगा, सच में होने वाला है क्या?
अच्छा.
अरे कैसे होगा, ये तो बन पड़ा था. So that was the first, setback and the market resistance which we faced.
Okay.
So when we saw that this is going to happen, and we were prescient about होने वाला है ऐसा.
Correct.
But I think our approach was quite sanguine, to be precise. So we were highly optimistic because we have confidence in our ability to build fast and build a great product.
Okay.
So I think we conducted surveys, we understood what the market is, and then we were able to come up with this. I think the second setback which we faced was in terms of technicalities and construction.
Okay.
Because that was a huge turnaround. We had to make sure we are following all the safety norms.
Okay.
We have to make sure all the compliances are in place. All we are everything is at sound structurally. Construction while building the project there are no any technical issues because since we had to look at the drawings, rework, sit again, so there are many iterations. So I think these two were some of the critical issues which we tackled.
So tell me, somewhere in the journey you had already you've taken on this project, you had got your plans approved, you had started construction, but somewhere in the journey you approached Seagull. Yeah.
Yes.
So what was the need for that, and where did that come from, and what role has that played in your journey?
Yeah. So when we started the project, initially we did not have marketing agency or a media partner with us.
Correct.
And this is, as I said, our first landmark large scale commercial project. So we wanted a partner and a media agency with us, which could stand with us and deliver high quality campaigns and marketing strategies.
Okay.
So Seagull stood out in the case that when we looked at other agencies per se, but Seagull has, I think, delivered some fantastic campaigns and created brands throughout its history, and we were confident in the ability that Seagull will deliver, given I think the expertise of your team and your track record. So that is where I think we approached you guys.
Correct.
And we're glad that we did that.
Thank you. Okay.
So yeah, that's been the journey.
Okay. So now, as you're coming towards the end or nearly the end of the project, and we look back at what's happened, what are the right things you did? So I'll focus on the right things.
So there are a few things which
and the things that you'll repeat. You have a few more projects also in the pipeline, planning to do. So what are these learnings, the good learnings that you'll carry forward?
So there are a couple of things which stand out to me. One is providing high quality construction in a single, let however the unit might be or however smaller or larger the building might be, but giving high construction quality is very important in this scenario. People want a building which stands the test of time.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
So they want great height, they want great visibility, they want great ventilation. So with the capital, since we have two frontage axis, we were able to capitalize on that and optimize our building design so that we utilize optimum sunlight, have maximum ventilation and provide great construction quality. So that's first. Second is parking. I'll stress again on parking a little. People want, मैं गाड़ी यार तो मेरा गाड़ी जगह ready होनी चाहिए.
अच्छा.
So they
So
want
parking is non-compromising. In a
parking
sense.
is non-compromised, especially when you have retail plus
Okay.
showroom plus offices. In offices, maybe there's a little bit of a play, but when you have retail, because customer wants to come to your shop, they want to have the luxury. Ki, okay, I come aram se, I park, I can go aram se. I don't have the headache of thinking
कि किधर लगाना है
किधर
गाड़ी.
लगाना है गाड़ी. So that's second. So that is one thing which we did right. And third was, I think, the design.
Okay.
People are really attracted to our elevation and they have great faith given the design and the concept of the building. So if you can, find something which, resonates with the people, because it's a standout building.
Correct.
तो वो customer को pride आता है कि if you can, build that in the customer, यार मेरी building ना यहाँ पे है. क्योंकि ये ब्रांड ये बिल्डिंग अरे क्या बिल्डिग बनाई है.
अच्छा, वो बिल्डिंग मेरा ऑफिस है या मेरा दुकान है.
Yes.
But just to ask you, Madhur, is I've interacted with many developers. Many of them say यार ये फसाड तो अच्छा कर सकते हैं हम, पर उसका पैसा कस्टमर नहीं देता है. आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस है?
There's some truth in it. There's some truth in it.
Okay.
Because facade is a little bit of a personal thing as well.
Okay.
Tomorrow, imagine when you are going, you're driving down the road and you look at the building. Would you want to look at a building which does not have a great facade and elevation? Right? So it's part of building your organization. It's part of building the brand as well. So it may not, resonate to the customer, completely. But I want to say कि यार ये building मैंने बनाई है.
Yeah, but having said that, design has become kind of a norm in anything in life.
Yeah.
So just to summarize, what I'm understanding is the good things that you did at Capital, which will take ahead. One is you said quality of construction. There can be no
Definitely.
compromise in quality of construction.
Definitely.
Second, you said is parking.
Yes.
And it becomes more important when there's a mix of retail plus offices. Yeah. And third, you mentioned is kind of if I can say a status marker. Is that building?
Yeah.
May or may not be for the end customer, but especially for you as F5 and as a partner in the company, you would like a building which you can say that wo building maine banai hai.
True.
Right?
True.
Now let me ask you the other thing. Are there some mistakes you made which you will never repeat in future?
I think building the Capital was a huge learning curve.
Okay.
Personally for me as well and as a group as well. This is the largest commercial project, which we have done. So there were a few critical learnings. First is understanding, as I said before, really putting in effort and having the groundwork done before, even taking up the project.
Okay.
So have a deeper understanding, spend a little time to understand कि वो market में वो area में क्या हो रहा है. What does the customer desire, what is the right fit and what is the right product.
अच्छा.
So that is one, learning curve because.
So are you saying आपने वो नहीं किया Capital में?
हाँ,
or
so
enough नहीं किया? क्या? What is the?
I think enough नहीं किया.
अच्छा.
In the sense that we designed it, to be customizable, and we made smaller spaces. But I think we could have made larger spaces, for maybe bigger brands to come.
Okay.
At least SME companies, medium scale IT companies.
Okay.
So a larger spaces and providing emphasis a little on zoning
So
as well.
what you're saying, Madhur, is what we put in marketing. As really, it would have been better if you defined who your end customers are first.
Yeah.
And then designed a product as per that.
I think yes.
That's what you're saying.
That's
Okay.
yeah. I think that would summarize.
Okay. This particular series that we do is to inspire entrepreneurs. Some of them are already in business. Some of them want to start their venture in business. From your learnings, you're a young guy, and the youth wants to be in entrepreneurship. What are the few tips, learnings, advice which you can give them so that while they set off on their journey?
This is interesting, and I can relate to this very closely to
Okay.
this question. So that's an amazing question because my entrepreneurial journey has been very short, but nonetheless, given my family, I'm a second generation entrepreneur,
Correct.
so as to put it, the next gen in the business. So there are a few things which I really have put in, and I would like younger generation to give thought to it. So I think the first would be observation.
Okay.
Looking at how people behave, looking at how they talk, how they communicate is one very critical learning point. So I have learned more, through observing my father, my bade papa, my family, my relatives, and how they are communicating.
Fantastic.
So you learn a lot through just listening and observing them and how they work. So the dexterity in their approach, or the kind of communication they have, is something which you really need to put into your shoes, because that is where you can win
Okay.
customer, or that is where you can win, make the other person the hero, because that is when you become the hero.
Okay. That's nice. Very interesting.
So that's, I think, one. Second is taking up initiative. So idea तो बहुत है दिमाग में मेरे कि ये करूँगा, but execution जब तक नहीं होता ना,
उसमें कोई मतलब
नहीं है, फिर मजा नहीं, भले ही छोटी सी टास्क हो, so one small example is we wanted to give something back to our flat buyers, our people who have bought units at our shop. So we started giving out nice personalized gifts to them. So this was a small gesture which had not been done, but I took this up, and this was an initiative which was well executed, and it has been very highly taken back. Wow. And people have been very appreciative of it.
Very good.
So executioning has to be there. Matlab initiative low and do it. Bhale hi wrong ya right ho, but you have the time, right?
Correct.
You have the liberty and the time to do it, because unless and until you don't do it, you'll never learn from those initiatives or those mistakes. So that's second. And third is versatility.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, you have to be a jack of all trade, because you need to know a little bit of accounts, you need to know marketing, you need to know sales, you need
सब करना पड़ता है.
सब करना ही पड़ेगा. So start having a flavor of everything.
Okay.
At least if focus on one thing, jack of all but master of one, but you should know what is happening in all the other segments. So because if you work in a silo, then you may not be able to visualize the big picture, or see how this is gonna turn out in a large scale viewpoint.
Okay.
So you'll get a bird's eye viewpoint through that. So I think these three things are really which I'm looking at.
So Madhur, just to kind of wind this up, I know there is more to you than real estate. Yeah. So tell us something more about what you do when you're not doing real estate. What your hobbies are. What's your passion?
So growing up, I have been very closely associated with nature. Okay. I have a deep bond with being in with Mother Nature, because I've grown up in a residential school in midst of a forest, you could say.
Okay.
So for me, taking up projects, or taking up ideas or small initiatives where I can encourage and spread awareness about the importance of nature, climate change, and promote sustainability. That's how I did it in my college, building a nature club, running a project across Pune to study bird data.
Okay, excellent.
So bird watching, being in the outdoors, trekking. Sometimes I accompany there's a small research team going on, so accompany them sampling. So as citizens, so there's something called citizen science project.
Okay.
So when people ask me मैं कैसे contribute करूँ, so this is a platform.
Achha, okay. Citizen science.
Yeah, citizen science projects is how can, apart from doing your bit, not littering around, switching off the light. These are very small things I'm talking about. But if आपको और करना है, तो मैं कैसे participate करूँ in the larger picture? Achha. Because change happens over a longer duration, especially you're working in a segment like this. You will not be able to say, okay, आज ऐसा है तो 10 साल बाद क्या होगा, that you never know. But if you contribute your bit right now, the change will be seen later.
Fantastic. So nature is something that is close to your heart.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see that somebody in real estate whom we like to see as cement is so closely connected to nature, and I'm sure then this makes the future of real estate better, nice, more closer, right?
Yeah, the interplay of, I think, being with nature, having sustainability, and then building a business is going to be the future.
Correct.
When both go in hand, you will flourish in the long term.
And what's important is it's not forced on you.
It's not forced, yeah.
It's something which comes to you naturally.
Inherently.
So combining nature and construction is going to be much easier for you than being enforced by the government on you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's a tight line though. It's a tight line, given in the sector we are. But do what you have in your control. So if I'm able to do, jitna mere haath mein agar maine utna bhi kiya, I'll be more than happy. Given my bit.
Good.
So
thank you so much,
yes.
Madhur, for being with us this afternoon, sharing your views. We wish you the very best for many more projects. Of course, we wish you also the best for your passion, and I'm looking forward to see a lot of nature happening in real estate.
Yes,
okay?
Definitely.
Thank you, Madhur, for this lovely afternoon. We've had a good time, and I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot from your experience.
Thank you, Samir.
Yeah. And thank you everyone for watching this episode. And look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.